Hi, this is Dr. Sana Hashmi, and this week in my Prince on China column, I covered what the Chinese are saying about the upcoming visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin to India that is starting from tomorrow. So, of course, this is a big development. He's visiting India after a 4 years hiatus. And for the past 4 years, the Russia India annual summit did not take place, and now it's happening in India, and specifically amid the ongoing Russia Ukraine conflict. But what the Chinese are saying about this, that this isn't just a friendly handshake moment. This is just not a regular diplomatic meeting that is going to happen between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President. So, in the Chinese discourse, a number of online commentators are watching closely and they're framing it as a very high stake visit, a transactional move that is focused on three core areas: energy, weapons, and nuclear cooperation. And on a number of Chinese social media websites, particularly Weibo, the microblogging website that is one of the most famous, most active social media websites in China, thousands of internet users are talking about this visit. And one Weibo post summed up the anxiety that is being felt in China, that India already has hundreds of Russian aircraft, advanced S-400 missile systems, and now Putin could bring Su-57 stealth fighters and S-500 air defense system. And there are a number of deals that could be signed, weapon defense deals that could be signed between India and Russia. So the question that the Chinese internet users are asking now is, what is the game that Putin is going to play with his visit, and how it is going to impact the regional dynamics? So, from Beijing's perspective, uh, Putin's visit to India is just not about relieving pressure at home, but of course, the financial constraint that has been faced by Russia due to the Western sanctions is also one of the major reasons why we are seeing this rejuvenation of bonhomie between India and Russia. Then, of course, years of Western sanctions, and now as we are seeing that the Donald Trump administration is very focused on ending the Russian Ukraine conflict, and now Russia might be moving towards a post war reconstruction that is going to be very, very expensive for Russia as well. So, this is absolutely going to strain Moscow's finances. So, even though the Chinese internet commentators believe that Russia has got a lot of military success out of this war, but then this is not going to solve the problems of Kremlin and Russia. So, from this perspective, India is seen as a stable, reliable partner to help Russia maintain its arm exports market and secure revenue through joint research and development and technology transfers. And Chinese analysts are now seeing this as a move that is part of a broader goal from both Russian and Indian side, and that is strengthening a special priority and strategic and priority partnership, helping Russia with the Western sanctions, Western to withstand Western pressure, while also projecting influence across the Asia Pacific region. So this a weapon cell and the cooperation between India and Russia is also going to disrupt the China Pakistan nexus and how China has been helping Pakistan with weapons. So, this is also something that is being discussed on the Chinese internet. But then a big focus in Chinese commentary is, of course, India's defense buildup, and, of course, the potential sale of Su 57, so which is actually described as kind of the deals that India might get out of this visit is that kind of air supremacy plus air defense plus anti-stealth network that is going to be established if all the deals are going to be in place. And five headline weapons that stand out are Su-57E stealth fighter, then R-37M long range air-to-air missile, then Zircon hypersonic missile, S-500 surface-to-air system, and then anti-stealth radar. But of course, and this is what the Chinese internet believe, and all these weapon system are going to uh, change the regional military balance in favor of India, and this is primarily for from India's perspective to fight the Chinese and to stand up to the People's Liberation Army. So the Su-57 sail is specifically eye-catching, is considered consequential, monumental. So this is seen as particularly uh, momentous in terms of how it is going to also change the calculations from the Chinese side. So there is a lot of discussion on how this stealth fighter is going to be. There are some limitations that are being discussed on the Chinese internet, but all in all, it's considered superior to platforms such as Rafale and give India a major technological boost that it cannot really replicate domestically. This is being discussed on the Chinese internet. And what they're also saying is that importantly, India's domestic defense industry isn't really advanced enough to reverse engineer it. So it also means that there would be the technology transfer would, as was described in one commentary, there was like a would be like a blood transfusion for the Indian Air Force. So for Chinese analysts, these deals aren't just about military tech; they are a signal that India is strengthening its regional positioning and that Russia is carefully balancing its partnership both with China as well as India. Then, apart from that, there has been a lot of discussion about India's foreign policy and diplomatic balancing act. There has been a lot of praise for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's strategic autonomy, foreign policy approach. Um, that how India is keeping strong ties with Russia while also engaging the United States despite the tariff war, despite the harsh words that we are seeing from the US in 2025. So pressures both great powers to offer better term. This is what China is thinking, and this is kind of an admiration that is coming from the Chinese internet. So it's been actually called as the art of wall riding, that how India is using competition between the US and Russia to in its favor to India's advantage. And there was one article, commentary on Paichao on Paito, that put it simply that the US might be unhappy about Putin's visiting India, but is Prime Minister Modi really afraid? And the answer that was on the Chinese internet that he's not really afraid. If he was afraid that he would be allowing the Russian president to visit India, and what he's doing right now is just following India's interest. So for Beijing, a Russian president with India visit is a moment to watch closely, and there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of observation regarding this. It could test India's strategic autonomy, its influence in the Indo Pacific region, its relationship with the West, and how it is going to shift regional balances. But for Moscow, it's about diversifying partnership, that is, of course, with China, and easing sanctions that are being imposed by the Western world. So, but for India, it is an opportunity to assert independence in its foreign policy that India has been doing for a long time, navigate great power competition, and strengthen its own global standing, all while following its own India first rhythm. This is the main mood with respect to Putin's visit to India and how India is managing great power competition, the tension between West and Russia. So, all in all, what is being how it is being seen on the Chinese internet in the Chinese strategic community is that India is asserting autonomy, Russia is trying to seek partnerships other than China, and China is observing closely. But there is a lot of anxiety with respect to how it is going to shape the military balance in the region, how it is going to shape Russia China relationship, but most importantly, how India Russia relationship and the trajectory of this relationship, this rejuvenation of the annual summit, is also going to be watched in the West. This is also something that China is observing very carefully. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.